Shazam, Shazam. We're going to do teamwork. We're going to talk about teamwork. We're going to talk about Shazam. We're going to talk about just making it all work. I was looking on YouTube and I was rather disappointed to see there was not that many videos on teamwork with regard to Dungeons and Dragons. They all look very different to what I was expecting, so I was quite happy to know that I have got a topic that might actually be sort of a monopoly. Sounds wonderful. Okay, alright, so my sound check's coming through good. You will let me know if my sound or my video isn't coming through, but so far it looks like it's doing great. Okay, so you will find the start time for this video down in the description. I'm just taking in some water in to make sure I've got to keep my singing voice working properly, otherwise it's all going to come to a sad and abrupt stop. Now, I normally, for my live streams, if you haven't ever been part of my live streams, normally what I do is I present everything first, and then once I've presented everything, I then open it up for questions and answers. And that's the fun time. That's when you, as the live audience, get to have a chat with me about the topic, or about a topic unrelated to the one that I'm talking about right now. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about teamwork, and I'm going to give you some pointers, hopefully some useful information for you as a player. That's not to say this is not a video that you could watch as a dungeon master, but this one is really keyed up for the players, so you know how to actually do it and do it effectively and efficiently. Okay, I'm now ready, so we will get started. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And we're not talking about the minions. Assemble your minions, yes. No, what we're talking about is Dungeons and Dragons, and the key thing that we all get taught, or supposedly get taught, that teamwork. Teamwork is an integral or a really important part of Dungeons and Dragons. So today is all about Dungeons and Dragons teamwork, like the Shazam family. I'm relating it to Shazam because recently I've watched the movie Shazam, and I was really impressed by the message behind it. It was very much about teamwork and family, and I felt like that was a topic I wanted to talk about. So as a result, if you are watching this video right now, there are spoilers for the Shazam movie. If you have not seen the Shazam movie, don't continue watching because there will be spoilers. I'm bound to talk about something that you don't want to know about. So make sure, if you haven't seen it, go and see it first. Okay? Alright, so then we've got past the spoiler warning. Alright, here we go. So Dungeons and Dragons is all about exploring a world of fantasy, but what makes the game actually stand out is the fact that it is a cooperative game. It's about teamwork. It's about working together. So that's part of the concept, right? That you're cooperating as a team, working to get together to achieve a goal of some kind. And sometimes that's just kill the monsters and take their stuff, and sometimes it's not. So let's just talk briefly about what Dungeons and Dragons is. So what is Dungeons and Dragons? That you play a character. If you're a dungeon master, you're going to play a monster. You might play as a player. You might have a character who is an unusual race or a monstrous race. You're going to go and explore fantastic worlds and dungeons, places that you have not seen before. You're going to go and kill monsters or defeat a villain, not necessarily killing them, but maybe just defeating them and then putting them into the justice system. Or you might have to go and find or earn some treasure or magic items. You're going to get to engage with magical creatures and characters and fantastic and unusual stories. And that is often what makes Dungeons and Dragons sort of stand out. But really, Dungeons and Dragons is all about these things and more, because at the heart of Dungeons and Dragons is friends, family, and teamwork. and it is the core of the game. It's the very, very kernel that everything sort of revolves around. It's not necessarily about miniatures and dice and battle maps and stuff like that. It's really about friends, family, and teamwork. Now, as a relationship to the movie that I've just recently watched, as I said, spoiler warnings for the Shazam movie, the Shazam family draws on the magic of the wizard Shazam, and this gives them an important role in protecting each other, and not only that, protecting the 7 magical realms. And that's the key focus for that particular group of people, right? Their focus is all about protecting each other and the 7 magical realms through the use of some sort of magic, which I thought was a very, very nice topic and actually relates quite nicely to Dungeons and Dragons. So here's where it starts to get a little bit awkward, because as a general rule, when we start talking about teamwork, usually we start winding up talking about things like the different Dungeons and Dragons roles. So in Dungeons and Dragons, each character has a role, or each character class has a role, and they work together to achieve a goal or complete the quest. But at the key and fundamentals of teamwork is not necessarily understanding that you have to play a role. That's just part and parcel of it. It's not actually important so much about the character in terms of teamwork. It's fundamentally goes right back to the player themselves. If you don't have that figured out, it's not going to work. So when I start talking about teamwork, I want you to understand I'm talking about you as a person, as a player, as a dungeon master. You as a person, as a player, as a dungeon master. Not the monsters that you play, not the characters that you play. Everything related next is all about you as a person. So how do we become a better team player? One of the fundamental things that has always been talked about with regard to teamwork is communication. And your communication should be open and honest with each other, sharing your thoughts, your opinions and ideas, and allowing people to voice their opinions and ideas so that you can take from the richness and fullness of their experience rather than play them down or ridicule them. So those are things that really are important. If you ridicule somebody or you put down their ideas, even though they might not necessarily be a good idea, that's actually going to detract from them being open and honest with you. So take into consideration what others are saying to reduce the conflict at the table and to actually share in the experience, allowing everybody to take part. So as I said, communication, key. Now that's a person thing, that is not your characters. Okay, remember person, stay with that concept. All right, next is let's agree and set team goals. If you decide to sit down and agree and set yourself a team goal with a plan that can be achieved, this is a good sign your team will work efficiently and effectively. If you don't have a team goal, what are you working towards? You're just sort of meandering through the wilderness and that's all you're doing. You don't really know. It doesn't matter if you go straight, you go left or right in the dungeon, or you just turn back and go the other way. So make sure you have team goals that need to be achieved and that can be achieved in the game that you're playing. And this revolves around your own personal lives. If you do these sorts of things, this is why they talk about setting goals for yourself as a person, but there's also goals for teams as well. Another important factor to a really strong team is that everybody in the team contributes their fair share of the workload. They take responsibility for their role in the group, team, or party. Now, if you are doing that, that's great news. If other people aren't doing that, that can cause problems with your team. Remember, it's all about teamwork, and each person within that team contributes to the entire outcome. And if you have somebody who isn't doing their fair share, that can create problems. So those are the sorts of conversations you should be having with people. Have a discussion with people about, look, maybe you are not contributing enough and the rest of us are having to do too much work, and you need to help us out because this is your role, so we need you to fulfill that role in the game. Making it clear to everybody that, it's not just about the game, it's about the group itself. One of the most important things I communicate to the players and to other dungeon masters is that the integrity of the characters in a game and the strength of a group in a game are not the characters. It is always down to the players and also, in fact, the dungeon master as well. Another thing you want to consider, and that is support. Support each other when a team member asks for help or needs help. By supporting somebody, you are encouraging them. You are making sure that when they have a weak moment or they are not feeling quite as active, or they have a part of their life is not going well, that they feel like they are welcome at the table and in the group and outside of the group. That's really what it comes down to. Teams work really well when everybody supports each other in achieving what the team is trying to achieve. So support each other. Really good advice there. Okay, next is diversity. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh gosh, Fred, you're going to talk about diversity. Well, the thing is with diversity, and I don't necessarily mean diversity in race, gender. All those things are good though. I'm saying diversity in terms of each team member offering a wide range of skills, abilities, experiences that will help solve problems for the team. Now, when I start talking about diverse members, I do not mean the character classes and the character races. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's good. Those are all good parts. But at its fundamental aspect is every person at the table has got a different level of experience and has experienced different things. They're going to bring something to the party. Some people are going to be good at solving numerical problems. Some people are going to be good at figuring out strategy. Some people are going to be good at just suggesting things that you didn't suggest because you were feeling very, very tired and you just needed their brain power to fill in the gaps while you were sort of just coasting along today because you couldn't do anything else. And to be fair, that happens. Everybody at the table brings really important skills, abilities, and experiences that will help the game. And let's go down to it, and it's going to help the team. That is the really important factor. Here's one that a lot of people get confused about when it comes to team leaders. Select a strong and trustworthy member, somebody that everybody respects as their leader for the team. And this person is not there to function as a decision maker. The team leader doesn't say, this is what's going to happen, that's what we're going to do. That is what a boss does. That's what a manager does. You are not the assistant manager. You are not the manager of a team. You are a leader. Now, leaders work best when they sort of disappear into the background, and really what they're trying to do is motivate everybody to give their best. If you are a really good team leader, nobody will ever really have too many issues with you because the effect that you have on the team will be so subtle, but you will bring out all of the best aspects of each person in that team. Each person has something to offer, and you'll be able to see that. So it really requires somebody who's quite mature and understands that concept. Next, any team needs to have organization. So make sure you organize the team and the group and all the tasks that you're going to have to perform. So if there are tasks like taking notes, mapping, inventory, maybe it's just making sure that you know what happened last week. It might just be understanding the concepts behind character creation so you can give advice. So making sure everybody in the team takes on a task that they can help alleviate the workload of the group. Now, this might alleviate workload for other players, but it might also alleviate workload for the dungeon master. Remember, don't just think that all the players are the team and you're working against the dungeon master. No, you're actually all a team together. So don't exclude your dungeon master. They are important. He, she are an important aspect to the team. Okay, like all teams, There's a lot of hard work involved. There's lots of things to remember and do. But you've got to take time for fun. You need to have fun during your Dungeons and Dragons sessions. But you also need to have socialization time, or time to socialize and have fun with each other outside of the game. And also remember, it's important to take breaks. Don't just decide that every time we schedule a session we have to play. Sometimes it's important for not just the Dungeon Master, but players as well, to take a break and just sort of let off a bit of steam. Go and do something else. You don't always have to play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, now that I've covered the basics for teamwork, and that's really it, there's one more thing I need to discuss. And I'm not going to say what it is till the very end of this video, so you have to watch the entire thing. I know that's really, really cunning on my part and just totally unfair, but I wanted to go over a couple of other things as well. So here's my example, sort of to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. I'm going to use Shazam again. Each member of the Shazam family have a specific role, just like any Dungeons and Dragons hero. The Shazam family in particular are actually made up of foster kids, or they're all foster kids of some kind. Everyone is a foster child, and they have been brought together from broken homes, and they find love and support in this foster house or home. And on top of that, they share the magic of Shazam, and this protects them all. You know, one of the key concepts behind Shazam is the magic of Shazam needs to protect everybody that he loves, otherwise they're in danger. It's like Superman and Lois Lane, right? Superman's going to be fine, but if you really want to get at Superman, you go and attack Lois Lane. And so the same thing applies here. So our first character is Shazam. Shazam is Billy Batson. He has the powers of wisdom, strength, stamina, lightning power, courage, and speed. But the key thing that makes him stand out in this team is not those powers in particular. What makes him stand out is his leadership and his willingness to share his power from the wizard Shazam. That's what really makes him stand out. His willingness to share his power to help protect them and help protect the realms of magic. So that's his key thing that you want to remember. He's the leader of the group. Next is Mary Marvel. Now, I know that's going to sound strange, and you're all going to start looking at this image and say, Fred, that looks like Warbird or Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Mary Marvel is actually Mary Shazam, I guess you might say, and her alias is Mary Bromfield. She has the powers of Shazam, but included with her powers are things like grace, skill, swiftness, beauty, wisdom, but also an outstanding ability to problem solve. She is the problem solver. When everybody else can't figure out the answer, chances are Mary knows the answer to that problem. Our next character is Freddy Shazam, or what do you call him? I think he's supposed to be called Captain Marvel Jr., which I know is going to be very confusing because there's lots of confusing things when it comes to the Shazam franchise. So consider him Freddy Shazam, or Freddie Freeman is his alias. This is a kid who is physically disabled. He's a bit of a trickster and scammer, but he shares the power of Shazam. But what makes him stand out is his loyalty and acceptance of Billy, who's new to the family. And also he teaches him about what it is to be a hero, how to be a hero, and also goes through the process of showing him how to test himself, take him to his limits, find out the limits of his abilities. That's the real takeaway for Freddy. Freddy is there for Billy and the rest and willing to help them in any way he possibly can, and actually quite useful as a group member. So I would consider this individual as kind of like the knowledge bank to a large extent. Next we have Eugene Shazam, or alias is Eugene Chow, and he shares the power of Shazam just like everybody else in the Shazam family. But on top of that, he has technopathy, which is basically the ability to control machines and technology through the use of his mind. He doesn't actually have to touch things, he can just use his mind and control technology in some form. Kind of a very useful aspect to the game, I would imagine, being able to control technology, and technology is such a big part of our world now. So his special key feature is his ability to understand and communicate with technology. Our next one is Pedro. Now Pedro is Pedro Shazam, or Pedro Pena. Hopefully I've got the last name correct. He shares the power of Shazam, but what makes him stand out is he has extra super strength. So compared to everybody else, he's even stronger than the rest. And there's a good reason you've got to have a bruiser in any team, somebody who can lift heavy things and hit hard. And so that is what Pedro's role is in this team. Our last member in this team is Darla Shazam, or her alias is Darla Daily, and she shares the power of Shazam, and on top of that, she has one key feature. Being sort of the youngest and the smallest, she has amplified speed, so she can move faster than the rest. A very handy thing to have when you need to get somewhere quickly. So they each have their own role, and they each work together to perform their task in the team. And you can see they bring a wide variety of knowledge, skills to the table. Okay, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, we often have the discussion about teamwork, and people talk about group cohesion and maximizing and selecting the right classes. You know, Dungeons and Dragons teamwork is usually discussed in terms of making sure you have the right classes and a good selection of fantastic races with unique magical abilities and different sort of features, and they form an adventuring party to defeat evil or complete some sort of quest. But when it comes to teamwork, that's really the last stage. Everything else that I've been talking about is really the first stage in your team. This is the last stage. This is the stuff that it's really obvious. It's on the surface, but it's not the stuff sitting below the surface. So each of the different roles, we have the warriors, like the fighter and the monk and the barbarian. These are all experts in combat and fighting. That's their role and function within the team. And it doesn't really matter if you can have any one of these, and they'll still be able to do what they need to do in the team. Then you have something like the mages. These are wizards and warlocks and sorcerers, and they are masters of magic. Masters of magic and magic lore, spells. This is what they do well. Now, I am a bit biased when it comes to wizards. I always feel like the wizard is probably the standout one, but you know, all of the different mages can have some benefit in the game, whether you are a sorcerer, a warlock, or a wizard. They've just got different ways of doing it. They each have a role and a body of knowledge that goes with them. Okay, next we have the healers, like our cleric, our paladin, our druid, and they all have slightly different perspectives on what it's like to be a band-aid or a healer. Look, when I say band-aid, I'm saying it in a very jestful manner. Their role is really to sort of make sure everybody is in top condition, to make sure that when things go badly for them, they can stay in the fight, they don't die, that they don't wind up wasting away from horrible diseases and things like that. But I always kind of refer to the healers as the band-aid. But they have lots of other functions, and each one of them has a very different perspective on that. Okay, the last one, and that is the skill monkey. These are characters like the rogue, the bard, and the ranger, and they focus not so much on one particular area. Their standout feature is the fact that they are versatile. They have focused in skills such as exploration or tactical combat, very specific types of tactical combat, or social interaction, so communicating rather than fighting. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk things out rather than just go to blows or cast magic. They also can focus on magic as well. So they do a lot of different things within the group. A very versatile member, not necessarily able to do anything particularly well, but they are versatile. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Fred, I wouldn't say that. But really, it's not about the Dungeons & Dragons character classes and races so much as the last thing I want to talk about. What really makes a team? When it comes to a team, all those videos you've been watching trying to find out about how to be a really good team member, the point applies to both the Shazam family and Dungeons & Dragons adventuring parties. And that is, a team will work best when everybody actually cares for each other and uses effective teamwork. But the key feature is always going to be, at its fundamental, not your characters, but you as a person, if you care about the players at the table that you are playing with, if you care about the dungeon master, and if they care about you, you have something special. That is what makes a fantastic team. This is why, as a general rule, people prefer to play with friends and family, because these are people they trust and who will support them, who will do all of the things I've just discussed, and they care about each other. That's what makes them so important and honestly so special. So that is my video on teamwork, Dungeons & Dragons teamwork, and I am using as my example the Shazam movie. Now, if you haven't figured it out, there is obviously a whole lot of spoilers within this video, and hopefully you watched the first part and understood what was going on. But if you liked this video, then please consider liking the video, subscribing, and also sharing the video with somebody else, because a good team member shares what is going to be useful to somebody else, right? Now, if you haven't subscribed, hit the bell button and subscribe if you haven't done so. If you want to support my channel, you did so by watching this video, and thank you very much. I do appreciate it. If you want to continue supporting me, I have many more videos for players and dungeon masters. You're welcome to go and check them out at some point. I also have no intention of doing Patreon. I don't like the idea of being paid to do this, not specifically, but I do have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon where you can buy stuff online. I get a small commission and you pay exactly the same price, and that helps support me to continue making videos like this or of other types that you might find useful at your game table and as just a person. Now, this is your opportunity to ask questions, give feedback, or growl me if I've spoiled the Shazam movie for you in any way whatsoever. Yes, give your feedback in the live chat now. If you're not part of the live stream, then use the comment section because that's what it's there for. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, I'm not gone, but I am going to set myself up and jump into the... get the camera on me so you know I'm not just a person behind some static images, and I think I've pretty got myself in the right place. Okay, let's go to the live chat and see how things are playing out. It's a bit quiet. There's a lot of people live streaming today. I didn't realize just how many. Hi dear Jesus, how's it going? What do you got here? Crap spoilers. Well, I guess I will catch this after I see it. Yeah, see you later, guys. Okay, all right, so somebody's been warned off. I better make sure I put it into the title, spoilers for Shazam movie. Maybe I should do that as well. Hi, Darren, how's it going? I know nothing of Shazam, but I enjoy the video. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the video, Darren. I really felt like it was a topic that really hadn't been covered. Something like teamwork really hasn't been covered. And therefore, when I saw the kids in the Shazam movie and how they were interacting with each other, I really understood that this was a topic that hit hit home. It sort of hit me in the heart, and it was a video I really wanted to do. And I thought, well, I'm going to use, since it was the inspiration for doing the teamwork D&D or Dungeons and Dragons teamwork video, that I would use Shazam as an example to sort of help connect everything. And yeah, hopefully people have enjoyed it. Look, it looks like it's pretty quiet today. There are a lot of people live streaming right now, so I imagine I am not necessarily the key focus. It's also Easter weekend, so a lot of people will have gone away. I'm going to take off if that's the case, since there aren't any questions. Now, I'm happy to answer questions unrelated to teamwork and the Shazam movie or anything like that. What's that, Darren? I thought there was only one guy named Shazam, but that was years ago. Yeah, well, see, the thing with Shazam is it started out as Captain Marvel. And the problem with Captain Marvel is later on, Marvel created another Captain Marvel. And then, of course, they had to sort of, because the original Captain Marvel wasn't selling that well, they sort of brought it back in. And then, of course, there was some controversy about who could have the name Captain Marvel. So instead of calling Captain Marvel, they called Captain Marvel Shazam. And Marvel kept Captain Marvel as their own intellectual property. But the very first Captain Marvel was actually the one I'm talking about right now. Just a little bit different, with the lightning bolt across their front. The concept of Captain Marvel's or additional Marvels, or the Marvel family and the Shazam family, they're not exactly that new. They have gone back a little while. So it's in a comic book, so it's there. They're mini comic books, and as it happens, the Shazam family was one of the most popular comics that ever came out. Good to know. Thanks, Fred. You are welcome, Darren. Okay, I am going to head off. I feel like I have covered everything I needed to. What is likely to happen tomorrow? Well, tomorrow I am probably going to wind up painting. I mean, I could do a crafting video, but I don't really want to do a crafting video. I felt like I just want something low key and low stress for me, and sometimes those crafting videos are much more high stress rather than low stress. I've also gone shopping just today, down to Vagabonds or Livewire Games in Auckland. So I drove in there and I went to the local game store and I bought a whole lot of stuff. Miniatures, cards, maps, a whole bunch of stuff, which I'm kind of looking forward to going through very, very shortly. So yes, I don't know if I'll do reviews on that stuff, but I might do reviews on some of it. It's not likely to be an unboxing. I'm not really fond of that sort of thing. So yes, have a good night, a good evening, a good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is that you have in your country right now, depending on the time of the day. Look after yourself, but look after your family and look after your friends. They are important. Remember, good teamwork starts with caring for those people in that team. And I will see you later.